FendX is a nanotechnology company focused on developing both film and spray coatings to protect surfaces from contamination. Now, the lead product under development, Repel Wrap film, is a protective surface coating film that, due to its repelling properties, prevents the adhesion of pathogens and reduces their transmission on surfaces prone to contamination. And with me is Dr. Carolyn Myers, the CEO, President, and Director of FendX. Great to have you. What an interesting company. And let's just start with, we see cleaning solutions and wipes. And of course, I guess we're still technically under a pandemic. How does FendX's nano coatings compare to what's currently on the market?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Jane. You're right. There are a lot of sprays and wipes out there. We know the Lysols, the Cloroxes, the whole nine yards. We have them in our homes. They're used by hospitals, other healthcare settings, etc. And you know what? They work. They kill instantly. You wipe and the bugs are gone. But the problem with them is that they're short acting. They're only as good as when you wipe. Once you wipe, they're susceptible to contamination again. And in healthcare environments, you probably know the term healthcare associated infections. Many of them are transmitted by touching surfaces. And while the hospitals have diligent programs in place, it's not enough to keep them from still being transmitted. And that's where we think we're going to come into play. To be able to provide our films and sprays, which are currently in development, to provide instant 24/7 protection. So what that means is once our film or our spray is applied to a surface, just as you would disinfect the surface, bugs and viruses, or bacteria and viruses, I should say, they won't stick to the surface, and it's effective for over 24 hours, 7 days a week, 4 months. And that's really what we have that is going to be different. And I'm not saying it's going to get rid of these other disinfectants, but what we will be able to do is between each cleaning, provide continuous, protection of the surfaces.
So this would be more geared toward healthcare facilities, like hospitals, nursing homes, rather than a consumer product, it sounds like.
It's not going to be a consumer product per se, although it's not a product that requires FDA approval, for example. So it's going to be available to essentially anybody if they want to buy it and put it on push doors. If they want to put it on railings, that it would be available for people to purchase for sure. If we, once we get to that stage, yes. In addition, while healthcare, I bring up healthcare because that's where a lot of these types of infections exist, but bugs are everywhere. They thrive everywhere. And so we're looking at other potential venues like transportation, entertainment, schools, etc., where it's high traffic and high touch point, and bugs can thrive on those surfaces. And if you disinfect them, that's great. But the moment somebody goes and touches them again, they're infected.
So tell us a little bit about the scale-up milestones, also the testing outcomes that you think will lead to mass adoption and commercialization.
So yeah, let me just tell you a couple of milestones as it relates to getting to commercialization, because this is the secret sauce, right? This is it. And when we licensed the technology from McMaster University, which is just outside of Toronto, Ontario, we basically, licensed the IP, but we licensed a film. It was literally the size of a quarter. That's how big it was. And it's like, okay, that's great, but it's not going to protect too many surfaces. So the first key milestone that we had to achieve was to take the formulation at McMaster and essentially reformulate it with regard to the process that you make it, as well as some of the components or chemicals in it, to be able to then adapt it for automation on a commercial manufacturing line. So just think about it. You're starting with this. And what we recently accomplished was essentially being able to create sheets of coated film, which is the next peak milestone. So we were able to get a formulation that we transferred to the manufacturer. The manufacturer in turn had to take that formulation and adapt it to their commercial process, which they've been able to do. And we just did a pilot run. In that pilot run, we created thousands and thousands of feet of sheets of coated film.
So that's where the scale comes in.
From this too.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So the press release announced that FendX was able to automate Repel Wrap in a pilot run with your manufacturing partner. So I guess you touched on this a little bit, but what kind of challenges was this? And do you feel like you conquered those?
Well, we're still ongoing. We've just done one run and it's a pilot, and just to confirm that we could automate the process. So, we're not done. It still requires refinement from a formulation standpoint as well as from a process standpoint. Ultimately, what we want to do through this whole process with our manufacturing partner as well as McMaster is get to a point where we are comfortable with the product that will meet the performance requirements to the end user as well as be affordable. So there's still a lot of iterations that are required. And, it's been 2 years. That's how long it's taken us to get to this process. And I tell you, there were a lot of bumps in the road. It's not, oh, perfect, we got it. A lot of bumps, a lot of testing, a lot of perseverance, and, a collective effort from a number of people to get to where we are today. And I think I'm pretty comfortable that we've been able to scale it. Now it's a matter of refining it and to a point where we have a product we're comfortable with.
Yeah. So what is in the future, would you say, for FendX? What are your long-term growth prospects?
I might have mentioned at the beginning that we also have a spray. I'm pretty excited about the spray, and it's nice to have it as part of our pipeline. We recently licensed the technology for that. Essentially, it does the same thing as Repel Wrap film. By the way, this nanotechnology can reduce adhesion of bacteria and viruses by over 98%. And just by doing that, because they can't stick to the surface, they can't replicate. And if they can't replicate, their transmission is significantly reduced. And that's really our hypothesis for why we're doing what we're doing. But what's interesting about the spray is that, intuitively, it's going to be easier to apply. Essentially, when you spray it on, it forms the same film as Repel Wrap film. It's not like a disinfectant, spray it and wipe it. This actually forms a film that will stay in place for, a period of time and protect the surface 24/7. So we're really excited about that product. It's in an earlier stage of development than Repel Wrap film, but it will be an excellent complement if we're able to get that product to market. The other area that I'm very interested in, because I come from the healthcare sector, is coating catheters. Catheters, you may know, are notoriously bad, especially long-term indwelling catheters for blockage or occlusion. And it's usually due to bacterial colonies forming or blood clots. And what this nanotechnology does in very early studies is it shows that if you cover the plastic, bacteria won't stick to it, and nor does blood. So we believe that this might be a potential product opportunity down the road to bring a catheter to market that can reduce the occlusion rates, especially in these long-term indwelling catheters, many of which are actually surgically implanted, I should say. And, we have to replace them. It costs a lot of money. So we hope we have something down the road that might be an opportunity there. But I'll just close by saying that, you can't just grow organically. My background is M&A and licensing, and I'm a big proponent that we have to look at bringing in additional opportunities into the organization. So, we're in the process of doing that to explore, and we're exploring a few opportunities now that are going to be complementary to what we're doing today.
Well, very interesting company, and I look forward to seeing, after you do the tests and get all of the logistics down, like how the product goes. Dr. Myers, great to have you with us to tell us about FendX today.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here.